Neuroscience shows that high performers are likely to stay stuck. You have this dream of building something big. You know you're meant to be successful, but why aren't you building these materialized outputs yet? Many high performers think that if they keep growing their mental skills and they keep just building capacity, then they will be successful. And this is not completely false, but it doesn't guarantee success either. There are many high performers who just got lost in this self-development thing and actually did nothing of their lives and ended up losing this high performer identity. Neuroscience states that the reason for this goes much deeper than just work hard or keep growing. Your brain holds a system that conditions your behavior, and that's what's keeping you stuck. When I was younger, I was obsessed with getting instant outputs. And when I say that, I don't mean like Instagram stuff, like an immediate reward. What I mean is an instant and predictable output. For example, I used to go to the gym 7 days a week. I used to be obsessed with my grades at university or at school. I used to read books and just got obsessed with finishing the books instead of actually acquiring the skills that the book was supposed to teach me. Now, here's the thing. One day, I was presented, or I was taught that the way you can grow your muscles in the gym is not by just hitting the gym as much as you can and just go home and do whatever you want. Instead, you can create a structured diet with a set of macros and calories, and then create a structured training routine and iterate the process until you find the best set of these variables for your case specifically. When I did that, when I learned that, in the beginning, it was extremely difficult to me to not go to the gym 7 days a week and actually go 4 or 5 and eat my food consistently on a daily basis. So the difference is clear. Here, I was being disciplined. I was going to the gym 7 days a week and I was feeling good. But when I actually got a system that actually brings me results, I was avoiding taking action and I was being undisciplined and inconsistent. So it was really hard to me to build muscles, until I learned the knowledge I will teach you in this video, and I changed the way my brain works. So now I enjoy having a system that actually creates results. So, as I told you, neuroscience shows that there is a system in the background of your mind, that means your unconscious mind, that is conditioning your behavior, and that's keeping you stuck. But what's that system, and what's the specific mechanism that's keeping you stuck as a high performer? Because you are a high performer, you are extremely competent. When you study, you do it excellently. When you play video games, if you do it excellently. If you like to train, you do it excellently. You do everything excellently, but you're not actually building materialized outputs. Now, the system we will study today is called the prediction system. And this is how your brain creates perception. How do you actually interact with reality? What you think reality is like? Because let me tell you something that is extremely important here. You don't experience reality as it is. You try to create a perception that is supposed to be reliable and a reliable representation of what reality is. But it's not that reliable. Our brains are conditioned. We don't have all the sensory inputs we need, and we don't actually comprehend reality because it's an infinite phenomenon. So that's why we simplify reality. So that's our first point. Our brains create a model of reality. That is a simplification of reality. How? Basically by storing memories of the past and imagined experiences as well, and also by creating a belief system. That is what you believe is true, and it can be an interpretation of those memories because the memories by themselves have no meaning. So you interpret those memories and store those beliefs and interpretations. You create a belief system, and that constitutes what you believe reality is like. Your model of reality contains many groups, but two of those models, which are really important, are your identity and your environment. Your identity is how you perceive yourself, is who you think you are. And this is extremely important because you act according to that. This conditions your behavior. And your environment is a model of your environment. Everything that is around you, including the people. So you have a model of the people you know as well. What does your brain What does your brain do with this info? So your brain uses this info to predict the future. And when you receive sensory inputs from your environment, you confirm if the prediction was reliable or not. Now, if you believe about yourself that you are a competent person, why would you be stuck and not actually building something and materializing outputs? If you believe of yourself that you are a hard worker, that you will be successful, that you are competent, why aren't you building actual results? Well, the reason for that goes a little bit more deep than this diagram. So let's jump into that specific matter. So you believe of yourself that you are competent, smart, and successful. This is part of your identity. This is not your whole identity, of course, but this is an extremely important part of who you are. The thing here is that your brain will try to protect this at all cost. So if there is a threat to this, you will some way find a solution to that threat, even if it actually generates results you don't want. You believe this of yourself, so you want to be perceived by other people this way. Many high performer people are stuck because they want other people to believe or understand that they are high performers. Now, stay with me here, because this is not the end of the story. Just because you want other people to think that you are competent doesn't mean you will be stuck, because if you are competent, you logically should get good results and people should believe that you are competent, right? That's true. But sometimes you are supposed and meant to get bad results so you can get better results later. So let's go into that in detail, and when we connect the next item with this, everything will make sense. There are two kinds of domains in life. And by domain, I mean like a project. Everything could be a project, from washing your hands to building a $1 million business. But let's try to keep the project as something hard, let's say, like a business or art, music. Maybe you are a musician, so your projects are songs or melodies. These kind of projects, studying for an exam, training, bodybuilding, these kind of things. So you have two categories. One of them is called predictable output domains, or domain. And the other one is called unpredictable output domain. What's the difference? Well, if we make it obvious, in one you can predict the outputs easily. That means that you can measure the amount of effort you put into something, and you can measure the amount of output you get out from those inputs. Let's say, let's try to put an example for this kind of domains. Suppose you study in university and you are studying for an exam. You have a proven system that if you work for 3 hours a day, then you will get pure A's in all of your exams. So you study 3 hours a day, and after each session of study, you get a specific output. You now mastered a certain group of exercises, or you master a certain topic of some subject. So you go to sleep happily because now you are closer to your goal and you can measure the progress. And in 3 months, or in a month and a half, it depends, on your university, you will have an exam and you will pass the exam because you know how to do it. So you will get an A. That's a measurable that's a measurable output. You are getting an A. You know, the exact level of output you are getting and the exact level of input you are putting into the system. When you train 7 days a week, the output would be the feeling of being disciplined. You feel like you are being disciplined. That was like my problem. I was going to the gym 7 days a week, so my feeling was, oh, I'm disciplined, so I feel good. And someday I will be big. I'm not big yet because it takes time, because I'm young. I don't know exactly why, but I will be big one day. Well, that was not going to happen, except I broke the system and changed the routine. Now, here's the thing. The problem is not predictable output domains. You are extremely good at these things. So, this is the interesting thing. Unpredictable outputs domain. Here, you cannot measure the outputs. You don't know what outputs you will get out of the inputs you put into the system. Remember, this is a simplified diagram of a system. You put inputs into a system. That system is a set of processes, and those processes transform the inputs into a specific output. Unpredictable domain outputs are, for example, a business or learning how to play an instrument. These kind of fields require you to work extremely hard and consistently for months until you get your first outputs. If you want to build a business, or you want to build a skill like sales or content creation or playing an instrument or art work, then you will have to work extremely hard, harder than this, for a lot of time until you get your first outputs. The problem is the gap between starting and actually getting those outputs. Because if we are making money in a business, it's extremely easy to work on it. You know what I mean by easy. If you play an instrument and you are extremely successful and people love your art with that instrument, then learning how to improve in that specific instrument will be easier than the first day. Because you have your reward system basically is supporting your behavior. You are being rewarded by every time you make progress. But in the beginning, when you start learning that skill, you're not getting outputs out of the system straight away, and you cannot measure them. Now, the problem is that your brain is trying to protect this identity right here. You are a competent person, you are a smart person, you are a successful person. You believe that of yourself, and you want others to perceive you that way. The problem are both. Because if you try to show everybody that you are competent, you are working, you are directing your time and resources into making that a reality. You want others to perceive you like a competent person. And the problem is when you try to protect this by staying in these domains because you want to have successful results immediately. Let's develop that. So you learned how to study and get 10s or A's. You learned how to read books, take notes, learn a lot in theory, and stack books fast. Maybe you got a job that you don't deeply love, but you are good at it, and you get good results constantly, so you are engaged in the loop. That's the thing. You are engaged in the loop of knowing how to do the things, measuring the inputs, and predicting measurable outputs. You know you will get an A. You will get a 10. You know you will read the book in 1 week. You know you will complete the video game in like 8 or 10 hours. You know you will get the payment of your job because you are doing a good job. Now, when you try to build something that has unpredictable outputs, like a business, or you want to become an artist, or you like playing an instrument, whatever, then you start because you are motivated. The first days or the first weeks, you are motivated, so you start. But here's the thing. The first outputs, if there are some outputs, will be terrible. I mean, there are always outputs. Because if you fail because the output was like, I don't know, low views or no money made, or the artwork is horrible, whatever. You learned. So when I say failure is not real, I don't mean it like in a motivational way, like, oh, failure is not real, just keep going. I actually mean it, like failure is not something real. Failure is a word, and the language conditions the way we think. But if our language was made in a different way, and the word failure meant a different thing, then we would think of failure as a completely different thing. Failure is not real, and I mean it. The first outputs will be horrible. You will get low views or horrible artworks, or I don't know. You will be awkward when trying to improve your social skills. You will not make money or whatever. So what your brain will do is say, wait. We are failing. Because when you compare the outputs of this kind of domain with the outputs of this kind of domains, then your brain will say, yes, we are failing. Because we usually get immediate results. We read 10 pages and we know what we learned. And we know we will get an A in the next exam. So your brain says, wait, we are uploading one video daily, we are getting no views, it's been a week, we are failing. And our identity of a competent person is being threatened. So let's just stop this, get back to this other kind of projects, and get the immediate reward. You feel more rewarded when you do these things. That's why you start a project with unpredictable outputs and you end up reading thousands of books, preparing yourself to do it better someday. Because it feels rewarding. It feels good. You are getting ready, so you will be successful. That's like the theory. It doesn't work that way. Because you don't develop skills by studying. Studying is an important element of developing a skill, but you need to practice a lot of times and you need to fail thousands or thousands of times. You need to fail and iterate the process as many times as you can so you can actually get good at it. Now that you are aware of this system, you can actually change it. You can change your life. You can start an unpredictable output project and become aware of your thoughts every time your brain tells you that you are failing. You have to understand that thoughts are not true or false. Thoughts just are. Thoughts come from your model of reality. And usually, thoughts are just a prediction of the future. If your brain is predicting failure, your behavior will create failure because you will behave basing on the prediction your brain made. How do you change that? Here's the thing. Your brain has a model of reality, and from that model of reality, your brain creates predictions of what's going to happen. Those predictions come out in the shape of a thought. Your thoughts are predictions of the future, usually, or interpretations of the past. So, how do you change this? You basically become aware of your thoughts. Literally, you have to become aware of your thoughts. Even though you think and you have thoughts in your mind, usually, every time a thought pops up in your mind, you automatically believe it's true. If your brain is telling you that you will fail, you automatically behave like that's real, that's a real concern. Well, it's not. It's a concern if you believe it's true and you let your brain design your behavior basing on that belief. Because you will say, oh, all right, if I'm going to fail, then my behavior will be inconsistent. Then I will do a different thing. Then I will focus on another stuff. That's the tricky part. Unpredictable output domains feel like failure in the beginning. So you have to understand that when you become aware of your predictions and you actually become aware that they are not true or false, they may become a truth if you let them, or you can instead replace them with another prediction that you consciously create. That's visualization. That's when you actually visualize. But visualization doesn't work if you cannot understand that the thoughts that pops up in your mind unconsciously to your conscious mind are not true or false. They are not an honest interpretation of reality. Instead, reality is an honest interpretation of your thoughts. What you believe is true is what you will manifest. So become aware of your thoughts. Start an unpredictable output domain and work on it no matter what. Commit to it. Become aware of your thoughts and start predicting success. Because if you don't predict success and you don't believe you will succeed, you won't. When you do that, just keep going. Your nervous system will get used to it and you will retrain your brain to think in a different way. So I hope it helped. Thanks for watching. Stay aware.